Nigeria is one of the largest advertising markets in Africa. In 2017, Nigeria's ad revenue hit $425 million US, with South Africa and Morocco as only the countries that generated more in ad revenues for that year. Now, contrary to the trends in the US and Europe, where the lion's share of ad budgets is focused on internet and TV marketing, between 2018 and 2020, the majority of advertising budgets in Nigeria has been devoted to TV and video promotion, while in developed markets, internet advertising expenditures are expected to surpass TV. However, in Nigeria, TV advertising is and will remain strong in the near future. Well, that's what we are seeing with the figures in Nigeria's largest companies spent a whopping 85.7 billion naira on advertising, branding, marketing, and promotion expenses. That's for the year 2019. The ABNP spending annualized in 2019 is about 114 billion naira compared to 116 billion naira spent in 2018 and 101.8 billion naira in 2017, while 11 of Nigeria's banks listed on the NSE spent a total of 13.5 billion naira on marketing and advertising in Q1 2020. The figure indicates a 15.7% increase when compared to 11.6 billion naira, which the banks collectively spent for the same purpose in Q1 of 2019. The second most popular ad medium in Nigeria is out-of-home advertising and is projected to grow in the next 3 years, or main years, with internet ranking third place on advertising spending. The outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic in the second quarter of the year significantly impacted the ability of corporate brands to spend on advertising, leading many businesses to cut their advertising budgets as they strive to cut costs of operations and stay afloat. Joining me now live to shed more light on our topic today is the Director of Commercials at TVC Communications, Mr. Ronan Redmond. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. Now, I was looking at the figures I was reeling before introducing you. We've seen a lot with regards to COVID-19 and the sector. Tell us a little bit about what has happened and where we are at the moment.
Well, there's no sector has escaped the impact, the dramatic impact of COVID-19. And in particular, when we talk about media, marketing and advertising, we have, in this sector, we have been greatly impacted. Advertising is a factor of GDP. You know, GDP growth goes up, ad spend goes up, GDP goes down, ad spend goes down. And the main economic impact of coronavirus is the negative impact it's had on GDP. GDP in Nigeria in Q2 is down 6.5%. So ad spend will be down ahead of that. So it's had a major impact. The other issue with coronavirus is we've had a lockdown for nearly 2 months. That's 15% of the year. So when there's a lockdown, consumers can't go to stores, they can't purchase, so people don't advertise. So those twin effects mean that the ad market in Nigeria is down about 25%. 2020 over 2019.
Really down, and that will definitely affect. Let's look at the effect even on our own business, on TVC Communications as a company. How has this affected us?
Well, it puts huge pressure on a company like ours. We were able to announce TVC Communications has been on a strategic growth journey over the last 3 years to make us into the biggest and best media and entertainment organization in Nigeria. We announced a month ago that amongst our 2 TV channels and our 3 radio stations, we have a combined daily audience of 10 million viewers and listeners. The reason a huge number like that is important is because it's viewers and listeners that advertisers are chasing and they want to talk to. Now, we're announcing that huge number, and we spent millions of dollars getting to that number in new equipment, et cetera, new studios. So we had expectations that our revenue was going to grow year on year. But unfortunately, with COVID impacting on the overall marketing, the market has declined. So our revenue is under pressure itself this year. So it means we're behind where we'd hoped to be in terms of our revenue projections, which puts huge pressures on all the different cost lines within the business.
Indeed. Now, back to that, I wanted to talk to that later, but now you've spoken to it already. 10 million listeners and viewers across all our platforms. Now, how do you feel attaining that?
Listen, it's a huge sense of achievement for TVC Communications and all our staff at one point. So that's important. It's a journey we've been on for 3 years. But Tulu, we're a commercial organization. The only way this business makes money is through attracting advertisers. We need the biggest audience possible to do that. We need to create and air fantastic content. So we're happy that we're getting the numbers. By getting an audience that size means that people love our content. If they're tuning in or they're listening every day, in that number, 10 million people, it means they love our content. So we must be doing something right. So our job now is to keep those people listening and watching in the months and years ahead.
Now we've been able to get the viewers coming in. What about our partners, our advertising partners? How is this new fit? How is it helping us maybe further cement our relationships with them?
It's very, very important, because as we grow our viewers, as we grow the share of viewing to our channels, we're then able to talk to advertising partners and say, look, you're warranted now in giving us a greater share of your clients' budgets. So it allows us take the research, bring it out to our partners, show them the great strides we're making in terms of growing our viewers and listeners, and then it allows us commercially make an argument that they need to start moving some of their spends away from perhaps our competitors who are doing less well in terms of audience, and move that money to us. We've always engaged with our partners right over the last 3 years. They've always known the journey we're on. They always knew what we were going to do with TVC News, entertainment and radio. So we've kept them informed, they've followed us on the journey, and we're seeing those spends move to us now, thankfully.
Now, still talking about the agency, we've seen new captains now, at the driving seats, Advan, AAAN, and even MyPan, Mr. Lucia, had a chat with him also. Now, what are your expectations from all of these people? These associations sure have a relationship with what are day-to-day activities. So what more do you expect from them?
They absolutely do. In a stressed economy, all economies are stressed at the moment. In a stressed economy, we all need to look after our own interests. So I've been advocating for a long time that the advertising and marketing sector, whilst we have a number of industry bodies within it, I felt they weren't as strong as they should be. They weren't coming together. They weren't presenting a case for advertising and marketing. I welcome these new appointments, the new presidents in the Association of Advertisers, in MyPan in particular, and I believe from what these individuals have said on programs and interviews with yourself, that they are going to do everything they can to get the message out to large manufacturing companies and general advertisers that, look, this is a very strong industry, needs to be supported. We need more investment back into our industry. We need better people. We need better research so that we can provide a better service to advertisers. I believe these new additions and these new appointments is going to help us on that journey.
Now, I like to move now. We're talking about COVID, yes, and you identified the big blow this is actually giving to our business. Now, moving on, countries are creating a more level playing ground, trying to make businesses seamless, giving incentives to people to attract them. Yeah. What do you expect from these people so that we can make more money? We want to make more money, that's why we're here.
Yeah, I think we do, but I think there's a lot we have to do, and it goes back to those industry bodies that we spoke about, those representative bodies. For too long in Nigeria, there's been underinvestment back into the industry. And when there's underinvestment, it means that things like research aren't where they need to be. Now, I know the Honourable Minister Lai Mohammed is doing a lot of work around trying to move us from a diary system of research to a digital system, because if I'm a brand advertiser and I'm going to invest hundreds of millions of naira, I need to know on a daily basis how that's performing in terms of the audience that are watching, etc. It's only digital research can help us do that. At the moment, our research is too dated. So that requires investment. So I think, look, investment in research will mean that then advertisers will spend more money because they'll feel safe, that they know how their money is being spent, and they'll know the return on their investment that they're getting for their ad spend. That's not happening at the moment, but at least the Honourable Minister is addressing that.
So let's now go back to that, making the industry thrive more. More things can be done. More partnerships can also be we can get into more partnership, particularly when we're leveraging on our 10 million listeners. So what kind of environment do you want the regulators, yes, in particular now, to create for us?
Look,
media houses.
This is a heavily regulated market, and
True.
it has to be, because it's a very big media market, and there's a huge number of media players in the market. So you need regulation, and regulation is very important. However, all I would ask is that the regulators keep abreast of the industry trends. So what is happening? What are advertisers looking for? Advertisers are looking to go beyond spot advertising. They're moving into this whole area of branded content. And the best example of branded content is Big Brother Naija. All branded content means is that they're interwoven their brands into the narrative. So if you look at Big Brother Naija at the moment, you'll see brands like Betway, Diageo, Toleram, all interwoven, all there on screen, ticker tapes
very
going
active.
across, all very, very active, because that's what the advertisers want, and the audience want to watch Big Brother Naija because it's brilliant content. Example at TVC, we do a lot of that kind of home-produced productions ourselves, but we are not permitted by the regulator to do what Big Brother Naija does. Now, that means that we're at cross purposes, because the industry right across the world and in Nigeria is moving in that branded content area. So likewise in Nigeria, we need to get up to pace with that. And I would plead with the regulator to become more aware. And regulation is important, but it needs to be aware of the current trends in the market.
So we need to follow the trends, because that's where the money is.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. Because you said it's where the money is. All the advertising money on this channel gets spent back into this channel and employing all these people. That's not the case maybe with international broadcasters who are operating in this market and earning substantial amounts. I estimate that Big Brother Naija probably in 12 weeks earned 1.5 billion in ad spend. That's before we even consider all the money they make from voting, etc. So it's not, as we speak, it's not a level playing pitch.
Now let's now go. The curve seems to be flattening. Well, government has not said that, but we see the figures reducing in Nigeria. That's talking about COVID-19. What are the preparations and projections for the media industry moving on?
Yeah, look, we've spoken about this before. The ad market, so much of it is about mood, and the mood has to be optimistic. It has been a shocking year, an absolutely shocking year, right across the world and here. And and we're talking about business. I don't want to talk about the human cost, but let's talk about business. There are signs, already I've seen signs in September that the ad spend and the brand spend is up substantially on previous months. I'm looking at a strong Q4 for TVC Communications. That's great. I'd expect Q4 to be strong. Q1 in 2021 worries me slightly, but everyone is suggesting that there are reasons to be concerned there. But we have to assume that there will be a comeback next year. We spoke before about possibly a V-shaped recovery. That's not going to happen. It's not going to come back in Q4 to the levels it was last year, but possibly into 2021, Q2 and beyond, we may get ourselves back to levels where we were in 2019.
Let's round up with the revised broadcast code. A lot of reactions have also trailed this. I don't know if you want to react to that. How does it come to you?
There has been a lot of reactions, and there's a lot of industry leaders very much across the code, and again, that encouraged me. Look, codes, regulations are hugely important, especially in this era where, if you look at American, they talk about fake news, and established broadcasters such as ourselves are under huge pressure as people consume their news from social media, etc. So the code remains very important, and I am just pleased that a lot of the leaders are looking very closely at it. We need a code that works for all of us.
Roland Redmond, any other messages to our partners? What more do we expect from them moving on in 2020? We always need them around us.
We always need them around us. And the only message I would give to our partners is one of sincere thanks. I mean, this has been an incredible last 9 months. our partners have stuck with us. We've given a lot of flexibility, but our partners have stuck with us. We appreciate that. This is the TVC that we said was going to happen 3 years ago. Our partners have stuck with us, continue to stick with us, and we'll continue to offer you those 10 million viewers and listeners and that great content.
I thank God I'm part of this story. Yes. Thank you so much, Ronan Redmond, Director of Commercials, TVC News. Thank you for sharing your time with us and talking to us about the industry in general, what's been happening, what's been playing out, and what we should expect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hope to see you again soon.
You will.